Hello, I'd like to talk about J.R.R. Tolkien, who was the famous writer who wrote The Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, along with Silmarillion and other famous stories. John Ronald Reuel Tolkien was born on the 3rd of January in 1892 in Lowenfontine in the Orange Free State. John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, also known as J.R.R. Tolkien. His parents were Arthur Reuel Tolkien, an English bank manager, and his wife Mabel Nee Suffield. The couple left England when Arthur was promoted to head of the Bloemfontein office of the British Bank for which he worked. When the First World War began in August 1914, his relatives were shocked when he elected not to immediately volunteer for the British Army in 1941. He instead joined up endured let me start off. Instead he endured the blockade and entered the program wherein he delayed his enlistment until the completing of his degree so that he could finish school and then join the army to fight the war. When he passed his finals in June 1915, Tolkien recalled that the Heats were becoming outspoken from relatives. He was then commissioned as a temporary second lieutenant in the Lancashire Fusiliers. On June the 2nd, in 1916, Tolkien received a telegram summoning him to Folkestone, so this was the first day that he had to go outside of Britain, since Folkestone is in France. In the war he fought for a long time, but that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about his writings, so I'm going to skip most of the war. He was in the Battle of the Somme, and that's the greatest battle that he was in. He arrived at the Somme in the early July in 1916, so a year after he had been enlisted. His first civilian job after the war was an Oxford English dictionary, where he worked mainly on history and the etymology of the words of Germanic origin beginning with the letter W. In the 1920s, Tolkien undertook a translation of Beowulf, which he finished in 1926. This was his first book that he wrote. He didn't write it, he translated it, but still his first writings. Then the Second World War began, and he was asked if he would serve in the cryptographic department of the Foreign Office in the event of a national emergency, and he replied in the affirmative, and beginning on March the 27th, he took an instructional course at the London HQ of Government Code and Cipher School, where he spent the rest of the war. Tolkien's family was quite large. He had four children: John Francis Reuel Tolkien, Michael Hilary Reuel Tolkien, Christopher John Reuel Tolkien, and Priscilla Mary Ann Reuel Tolkien. Tolkien was very much a family man. He was very devoted to his children and sent them illustrated letters from Father Christmas when they were young. He loved his family very much. The fact that he has been in a war and the way he grew up with many different he grew up part in Africa, and maybe something and some part of his youth was spent in England, but he was in the war in France, and he's been with many different ideologies and many different religions, which helped him form the universe that is now Middle Earth, where The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings take place, which is why there are so big books, because he knows what to write down on these pages. He knows he has many places where he can gather information or illustrations, and yeah, he has many places where he can gain entertainment for the books, of course. In the years that he wrote The Hobbit was finished quite fast, but he had more troubles when he wanted to write The Lord of the Rings afterwards. It because they were written during the World Wars, he kinda laid it off quite a lot of the time, so they they took very long time. Some of them took over, I think, 6 years to finish. But now, of course, there are some of the greatest stories ever written, and many people say that they are their favorite work of literature. That was what I had about J.R.R. Tolkien. Thank you very much.